Hello everybody, it's City Matt Haven here today, and I have Slap-a-Fish with me, and mistake number 1, so we had to restart. Yeah, my fault. Lots of fun. Okay, so starting off, we're going to be going over a couple of things that the devs talked about on their live stream. Starting off, we're going to be playing Tier 7 and talking about RNG changes that are coming this Tuesday. Combined with that, we're going to be covering a couple of tanks that were on the list, which I'm actually going to go ahead and pop up on the screen here. So this is not all the tanks that they had that they're going to be readjusting. There's actually a lot more to it. So the tanks that we're going to be playing, I have just a random tier 7 right now. And we're just kind of starting off with random tier 7s because we're also going to be talking about the Italian tanks, the Italian heavies that were introduced, and go over how we feel about those. But other than that, let's go ahead, dive right in, and yeah, let's just see how it goes. More than likely today, one of us is going to get one shot by artillery, so when that happens, don't say anything. Don't even mention it. And Slap, I'm not worried about if this tank has pref matchmaking, because it's +1, -1, now that I think about it. It's still Sunday. Oh no. Did he disappear? No, you did?
They disappear.
Nothing. Don't worry about it. I'm actually wondering, anyone in chat right now, how well is Slap coming through, even though he's kind of being quiet?
Am I quiet?
I don't know. I guess on my end you're a little quiet, but maybe not. You might be coming through pretty loud. Okay, so what was on that list? So we had the IS-4. I saw the IS-4, and I'm wondering about that, but not right now. Starting off, let's talk about the RNG changes that are coming up. Is it a 2020?
Yep.
So we have a 20% plus, 20% minus?
Plus minus 20.
Yeah, so that means that we're going to be going off of the old damage standards rather than the, what was it, -25 plus 10?
Yeah, after 6.0. It depends what you're talking about.
Well, 6.0 itself, like 6.0 drops, we had a penetration of 25 minus 10, and then a damage of -25 plus 10.
Yep.
Yeah, so that right there, you know, you saw your average damage drop per shot, but you saw your average penetration go up. And with this next update, we're going to be getting back the old alphas and the old penetration.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic. And the heavy tanks will actually be heavy tanks again.
Yeah, rather than no one playing the E160 TP because it feels like they get pinned like paper. And then here I am just trying to remember what my penetrations are. I think standards on this are like 149.
Yeah, they're pretty low.
Yeah, see, I would say the RNG factor, talking about it, that's going to make a lot of people happy. Especially people like me who've been playing the game for a long time. And, you know, we had that big, massive change whenever it came down to the RNG. And then everything just, you know, it felt foreign, I think is the best way to put it. And now that they're bringing it back, it's actually going to help out a lot. And, ooh, okay, there we go. There's a tank we can talk about. The VK-16801P. I just aimed at it. And even though I aimed at it, I'm inside of a tier 7. Now, with the readjustment that tank got, not even my premium rounds next update are going to be able to go through its hatch, which is supposed to be a weak spot. So that's going to be a blast.
So, I didn't tell you, but earlier I was on Brovka. I went down the 1-2 line and didn't stop the VK.
Yeah, how'd that go?
I blocked 6,000 or 7,000 damage.
Yeah, and let me guess, they were hitting the hatch too?
Yes.
Yeah, and the hatch is bouncing when the hatch shouldn't be bouncing. That hatch should not be that thick. Like the VK100, I think they got the idea from that one with the 230 millimeters, but isn't the lower plate on the VK100 a little bit thinner than the 168P?
Oh, actually, no.
I'll double check coming up here in a minute, because I have both of those in the garage right now, so I can actually take a look. Now, so far off to a good start, except for bouncing out the lower plate of a light tank.
Okay, strike.
Nice. Oh, you shoot me, you son of a gun.
Already. So yeah, now since the RNG changes run back to normal, then when you actually make a mistake, you can actually fix it with your armor.
Yeah, like, because, and another thing is, I've noticed that a lot of side scraping, right now, side scraping kind of feels inadequate, depending on the tank that you're in. So, let's say, for instance, the VK100, not the VK100, the 16AP. Sometimes you'll get some angles that just make no sense how they go through. Same thing about my Krievets 1, that I have a, I believe it's a 56% average block rate, that every once in a while I have these random shots that penetrate that just make absolutely no sense at all. And with my armor test that I did a while back, I did armor testing with, I want to say, about 23 different tanks. But the E50 was the first one, checking how the armor worked. And heat rounds, as of right now for Update 6.0's RNG, you're able to pin 345 millimeters of armor with 340 heat pin right now. So I would say that after 7.0 drops, I'm going to be checking and seeing the average rolls and average penetrations coming up inside of just a test lobby, really, and just seeing how the change is affecting the game, and to see if it needs to be a little bit more or not. Because with a 20% and a 20% low drop, it should be about 380 at a high roll. On, you know, your average high roll, it should be about a 380 pin. But you shouldn't be high rolling too often. You should be like a 380 with one shot, 370 with another, averaging like a 340 to a 355 pin. Rather than, you know, being able to pin 400 plus millimeters consistently.
Yep.
Like right now with this 190, I'm just going through the bottom plate of a Tiger 2, but it's APCR. If it was heat rounds, it would probably go through the top plate, in all honesty.
Also, averages actually mean averages.
Ouch.
Your average of 390, it's actually going to be average 390.
Yeah,
now.
390. You should be able to high roll for like a, what, a 440, 450.
About 470?
About 4. You should be able to, yeah. I mean, for a high roll, yeah. And then artillery, I'm actually excited about that rework for artillery. And I don't care what anyone says. That artillery hits really hard right now. And I think coming with the RNG changes, artillery shouldn't be hitting as hard, to be honest. Because with their, let's say, tier 10, for instance, with penetration values, whenever they get dropped and penetration isn't high rolling consistently, which is the reason why artillery is doing so much damage on direct impacts, we might see some changes in damage from artillery coming on Tuesday. $528 to a charioteer. That's not even a direct impact. This is such a bad position. Should I just drive out?
I think you just target the charioteer now.
Nice. Charioteer had a good takedown right there. Artillery's just gonna more than likely take us down, so.
Well, good thing you moved. Because...
Oh, snap. It is a good thing I moved, but I'm gonna go down. Ah, alright. That was a good start off. I'd say it's a good start off.
Talked about the Italian heavy.
Yeah, so Italian heavies. I think that should be the next subject that we cover. So, talking about them, the release of the Passante was actually, in my opinion, kind of a disappointment. Your last shell reloads at the same rate of the E4. except for the fact that the E4 has a 17.55 and the Passante has a 17.5. So up against a tier 10, tank destroyer, that tank destroyer reloads the same rate as your first shell. Well, actually your final shell in the clip. So that kind of hits hard. And to me, that it feels I don't know. I guess here in a couple of months they'll see the average damage of that tank kind of go down, and probably rework it. But other than that, it is what it is right now. But in a couple of months, it would be nice to see a reload buff get applied to that entire line. If anything, rather than like a 17.5, which gives you a 13.8 or 13.3 second reload with a fully trained crew and a gun rammer on your last shell, I would rather see that last shell have, like, rather than 17.5, drop it down to like a 14 or even a 13.8 second base reload on that final shell, because that kind of helps match the categories for like the T-54E2 and the E75 TS, because they had the same alpha with the 360. So if you drop it down to that same category and you look at the average damage, and let's say, okay, since this is an autoloader, let's add 2 more seconds per shell rather than what they did, which was 7 seconds longer than those tanks. And then the Rosarante, the tier 10, and then we have the tier 9 and tier 8. I have a couple of buddies who are playing the tier 8 and tier 9 right now. Out of the entire line, the only tank that actually looks mildly promising is the tier 9, which is the Progetto 66, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's all +1, -1 going on right now. This is actually really nice with silver making and everything else. So,
right.
Yeah, anything you want to add to that topic, Slub?
Well, the tier 10 suffers from the reload, but it's got 490, right? That's
yeah,
alpha?
It's got a 490 alpha, but you need to look at the, let's say, the Quillen, the QL, or even the 5A. That the 5A has the same alpha at 490, but has a 9-second to 8-second reload.
Well, the tier 10 Italian heavy tank should be about 12 seconds.
Like with a fully trained crew and everything, or base?
Base.
Base? I don't know. I think that would be a little bit too much at 12 seconds. Because that's a lot of damage. And then you have your 4-second interclip reload. But then again, depending on your first 2 shells, that actually could be viable.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that does make a lot of sense doing it that way. And because you also got to think, it's got some pretty horrendous gun handling. It's not exactly the best gun to handle. Even after your reload, it's not guaranteed to land.
Also, it doesn't have armor for a heavy tank.
It doesn't have armor?
No.
Well, we can kind of blame 6.0 for that, and hopefully coming with the next update.
It actually doesn't have armor.
It actually doesn't, period.
Yes, this is one of the things that QuickUp was complaining about the tank when it was on PC on the super test.
Ooh, we got 3 artilleries on the enemy team. I didn't even realize that until I got hit by 2 of them. But I didn't exactly get penetrated, I just got tapped.
I got shot inside the turret by already. It did like 300 damage. So.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna double check something. I'm kind of hoping. Did I lock the chat, or do we just have literally people kicking back, enjoying? Allow all comments. Yes. So there is. That means, you know what? I guess we're doing something good. No one has any questions yet because we're just focusing on subjects. But yeah, the Italians, I would say, what would you say the timeline would be to get the actual statistics of the tank? 6 months, 8 months? Because right now they're saying that they have some of the best damage inside their category for heavy tanks. And one of the biggest reasons why is because who's playing them the second they come out? You know, we have... Good players. Like the Unicum players, the actual people who are dedicated to the game that are out there to 3-mark tanks. Those are the people who are playing the tank right now, and that's why their averages look so high, is because we have, for instance, Vishaw, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know who Vishaw is, Gambit. He has pretty much 3-marked every single tank in the game, and he's right now trying to 3-mark the Rosarante. If not, he already has. So there's a lot about that, you know, whenever it comes down to a tank freshly coming out, that's why the Passante had some of the highest damage standing inside the tier 8 category, just because it's so new to the game, and the only people who are going to buy the fully loaded tank at the most expensive is content creators like myself, Slap-A-Fish, and people who are looking to 3-mark it within the first week of the tank being released whenever the damage standing is at the lowest. You know, for instance, I have a couple of guys who went and 3-marked the CS63, the tier 10, or the Polish mediums. He 3-marked it within a day. And, yeah, within a day. Dude, he played an entire day of that tank just to be able to 3-mark it and call it good. And the part that made me laugh at that was, the next day, his damage standing went from 97% to 62%. And that gives you an idea on how much of a damage standing there is whenever a tank is released the first day compared to what the second day does to the tank. And that's why you're seeing all these high damage standings for a lot of tanks that are coming out right now, just because it's the best players taking the tanks. So yeah, I would say if people want to actually grind out that line and they want to grind it out to be competitive, right now I would not say that line is super competitive, but getting your hands on the tanks early, that way, you know, later down the road, whenever they do get a rework or they do get buffed, that way you already have access to it and you're not panicking to get another one. Now,
okay, so do you have the tier 10 Italian medium tank?
The Progetto? No, I do not. I have the tier 8. I've been slacking off. I should have grinded that out a long time ago, but...
Go to the stats. Yeah, go to the stats of it, because I can't see the original stats of it. And
yeah, because you got your crew on it and everything else. Yeah, okay. So, Progetto 65. This was a tank that is just beyond nerfed. So, your first shell takes 19 seconds. Your second shell takes 17. Your third shell takes 15. Your final shell takes 13 seconds. And put that into perspective, you have a 360 alpha.
You remember that 12 seconds I said?
Yeah.
Make it like an 18.
What is the Rosarante's
25.3, 23.1, and 21.
Yeah, see, I want to even grind that tank. I would say that the Italians, because of all the spaghetti that they make and all the pizza, honest to God, that's so good. They need buffs, dude. The Progetto needs a buff.
Not the mediums.
Not the mediums? You don't feel like the medium needs a buff?
Mediums.
No?
If tier 10 medium tank gets a buff, it would be considered overpowered.
I don't think the Progetto would be overpowered. In a head-to-head fight against, let's say, like a Patton, the Progetto usually...
Progetto will win.
I don't know, dude. I've gone up against a lot of Progettos and they've lost multiple times. From full health to no health.
Don't know how to play it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You fire that first shell, you fire your first shell, you fire your first shell, you get them down to their last little bit of hit points left, clip them out, you know, but primarily. Like, I know that a Progetto against, let's say, a Kronenwagen, Progetto's going to win that fight every single time, hands down, if it's a one-on-one. But Progetto, I really feel like your last shell should take 8 seconds. I really feel like your last shell should take 8 seconds. Unless it already is 8 seconds. I mean, maybe even 9. You know, but 8 seconds, like 7.5 to 8 seconds. Alright,
Yeah,
so what's next on the list to play?
Tier 9.
Tier 9, so we're jumping up. So we're going to start off with Concept 1B. And
you
then...
don't actually go to the Tier 10.
After 9, go to 10?
No, Tier 10 right now.
Oh, wait, Tier 10 right now? What are we jumping into?
Yeah, we're still talking about the Italians.
Oh, okay. I don't have any of the Tier 10 Italians, though.
I do.
You do? So I'll rip out the E3. I did see the E3 on that update list that's coming. So we have the E3 and the E4. And the other day we talked about those two tanks. How the E3 over on PC is actually, it's got a, what was it, a 1 second better reload than the E4?
Yes.
While here on console, it has a 17.55 with the E4, and then we had the E3 with a, what was it, 20.5?
21.5.
21.5?
No, 20.5.
Yeah, I think it was 20.5, which makes no sense on why it would be adjusted like that.
So, you said earlier Progetto 65 got a huge nerf. And I'm guessing you're talking about from PC to console.
Well, from PC to console bringing it in, but then you also have to compare it to every other medium inside the game.
It actually didn't.
It didn't?
Well, it got a reload nerf, but everything else about the tank got buffed. The accuracy, the aim time, the power to weight ratio, all turret armor, a lot of stuff got buffed about it.
You see, then they made up for bringing it over the console then.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you find like what they made up to actually make it a little bit better. But at the same time, you know, it's PC's got a 4 second faster reload. And then to talk about that with faster reloads, for instance, the Super Conk. The Super Conk on PC can get down to a 6.67 reload, while the Super Conk here on console can get down to a 6.3. The reload of our Super Conk on console is better than PC's. Yet the E5, which matches the Super Conk in reload, at I believe it's a 6.8 second reload, we actually end up with an 8 second reload across the board with ours. So a 1.7 second drop compared to the actual Super Conk, which does make a massive difference. And right now I'm being pinned by heat rounds from a Rosarante.
Yep.
So I'm actually going to go ahead and just probably break this down and get some spots. Not really worry about anything. I'm going to raise my gun, so if you want to try and peekaboo around my front at all.
So my reload, my last show was 9 seconds.
See, okay, that's actually not that bad. But then you also have to focus out your crew towards reload and everything else, which makes it really hard to try and, you know, make a separate build on that tank without sacrificing a lot.
You just put an advanced loader on it.
Advanced loader?
I mean, rapid loading. It can take both.
No, I know it can take both, but the thing is that a lot of tanks that I play with, I make multiple builds for. You know, like for instance, I have my Borask, which has no reload buff at all, and it's still performing extremely well just because it relies on concealment over anything else. So yeah, I see what you mean right there. That shell went straight through the turret with a standard round from the E3 into the Rosarante. You're good. If you want to, yeah, pull off to the left. Progetto coming around. He's on 54 hit points. And right there, okay, right now what's going on? This is, there's a waffle. Been seeing a lot more waffles as of recent. And I don't know why they're popping up so much. I think, coming with, 7.11,
Huh?
that there's gonna be a couple tanks that probably drop out of the meta. And T30 coming right up. So yeah, I guess we pushed up a little bit too far. The enemy team had better control. Or my situational awareness is just gone because we're just focusing on subjects. But other than that, that's a good turnout. Now, what was next on the list? Talking about what tanks are coming up and how we feel about it?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, like that.
okay. So where do we want to start off on this? Because on this list, the IS-4 is there, even though the IS-4 just barely got buffed. Or do you think that because the IS-4 is here, that it's already done and it's off the list?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You think that they,
I think they decided about another change on the IS-4, but it was too late to add it. And I'm thinking it was the ammo buff.
so the 35 rounds rather than the 30? Or even 42 rounds?
Like
Because you have a lot of Russian tanks that got 42 rounds. But if they readjust the ammo count on, let's say, the IS-4, what about the IS-7? That's still got 30 rounds. But then again, comparing those two tanks, that's kind of hard to compare them. Just because the the IS-4's got a 440 alpha, and the IS-7 has a 470 alpha.
You know,
That's sad.
It's a lag.
I believe it. That's really sad. He's on the 71 hit points.
I took an extra shot from the E50M because a lag turned my tank in front of him.
Oh, that does suck. All right, so bringing the list back up, we have the Object 777 version 2, and in my personal opinion, I think one of the biggest things that they could do to that tank would be the turret traverse speed, for instance. I think that readjusting the traverse speed of that turret could make, night and day by that point. That would be a night and day buff. The Object 260 is also on this list, and one of the only things I can see them doing with the Object 260 would be readjusting the top armor from 30 millimeters that it's at now and bringing it up to, let's say, like a 52, or maybe even matching the IS-4 with 45 millimeters, because there's a lot of situations that you get into that you're going to lock down, but you're still going to find yourself with that massive weak spot that everything inside that tier can penetrate. And that's kind of what has a drawback for that tank for a lot of players who mess around with it. And then we also have the T10, the 279E, which I wonder what they're going to be doing to the 279E, the 277, and 268 version 5. So 268 version 5, I'm wondering what they're going to be doing to that tank, because it already hits like a freight train. That's one of those tanks that, if anything, it needs a reload nerf. It needs like an extra second and a half to an entire second on its reload. And maybe a little bit worse gun handling.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Just because, having a tank that at this current moment in time is like absolute pure meta, yeah, kind of takes away from a lot. Because in comp right now, it's either the E4, the Strav 103B, or the 268 version 5 right now.
E4 Super Conquer in version 5?
Well, no, like tank destroyer wise, it's E4, 268 version 5, And 268 version, it used to be the Yaguru. The Yaguru used to take the position of the 268 version 5. But the thing is, with the RNG change, the 268 version 5's heat pin is just as good as the Yaguru's heat pin, but it's on a turret and it's faster. That's why people are preferring that tank over the Yaguru right now for comp.
Oh yeah, well, look at the Type 4. This is the camo I was talking about.
You're still the size of a barn. It is a good camo though. If anything, if they add skins to the game, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be broke. Like if they start adding more skins, I'm gonna be super broke. Okay, so the 777, you know, as I said, one of the biggest buffs that this tank could receive would be turret rotation. And if they increased the turret rotation, that would actually make this tank 1,000 times better. Like there is nothing on this tank that needs readjusting except for that turret rotation speed. I believe it's at 16 degrees per second right now. I'm not 100% sure. I'll double check after this match, but I want to say it's like 16.5 or just 16 across the board. And if they were to bump it up to, let's say, I believe yesterday I said 26.
Wait, why is there already in B8?
That's a really good question. I do not know. Why do I feel like I drove in circles? Maybe it's because I spun my turret around. I'm just a little disoriented now. But yeah, this is one of those tanks that if they increase the rotational speed of the turret, that would make this tank just 1,000 times better. I mean, it's already got a really good ammo capacity. It's got 42 rounds.
And
you have
off the turret armor front of it.
Well, you see, if they increase the turret rotation speed, I wouldn't see too much of a buff on the turret armor. I would say do the rotational speed first and see how that affects the tank, and then do the turret armor if it needs a buff there. Because every once in a while, mobility is what makes a tank. Because right now, it's its reaction time to situations. You know, if you're getting circled by a light tank inside the 268, you're not standing much of a chance. You're getting absolutely slapped. I just shot the floor. Yep, this guy's probably all like, can I rush this guy? He's playing like a Muppet. But, yeah, there's only so much you can really do to buff a tank. And starting off, I would say, because of the RNG changes that are coming up, I would say the only thing to do to this tank right now would be to readjust its traverse speed of its turret, the rotational speed. And then, after the next update, if you still feel like this tank needs a buff, you know, like let it run for a while, see how people are enjoying it, and everything else, to see if it needs a buff.
Oh wait. Completely forgot my first round is just HE.
This sounds like you're having fun though, at least, with that.
Just
You know what? I'm missing shots. I am missing left and right inside this tank right now. It's like if you want to help lower damage standing, just start playing in tanks and don't even shoot. Just kidding. Please don't do that. Don't play like I am right now with just absolute muppetry. And bouncing out the side directly on the side. But then again, the M103's got really, really nice side armor with that slope on the bottom. I think that's what I hit.
gotta wait for our cheat changes to come back. They are being useful. Yay.
And I'm actually wondering right now, like, I guarantee people can hear us, but the chat's not going. Actually, I don't even see chat. I don't even see chat. I'm gonna refresh. I don't even think we have chat active. Oh, I do have chat active. This entire time I had to refresh. Are you kidding me? Dude, you guys can call me Muppets all you freaking want. Alright?
Well, it's the last thing chatted.
This entire time we've had people talking, and here I am, just... It was black, and I looked over at it, and I'm just like, wait a minute.
So you
I can't even type in chat. So I refreshed it, and now it's like it all popped up. We got T-Bear, Budshot, Joseph, what's up, Doc? Long time no see. And yeah, I gotta scroll up and feel like a Muppet. So we have Walk Console already, which is I'm pretty much it's you. Yeah, okay. And then we got Koza. Stream quality. I have no clue why you can't change that. I'm pretty sure it changed. Extra smooth brain. Dude, without a doubt right now. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I feel like I thought I had everything set up and ready to go, and for a moment there I thought that no one was chatting. No, I'm done. Okay, what were we talking about? 777, the Type 4. What would you like to see done to the Type 4?
Well, I'll wait until August 31st.
August 31st?
The Type 5 line comes out. Changes.
Yeah. And you brought to my attention the other day about the Type 5. I don't know. I still stand by the fact that I would prefer a lower alpha on the Type 5 to get the Type OK, which has 192 millimeters of penetration HE shell, rather than the 1100 alpha that we have with a 90 pin. I would much prefer a lower alpha with more pin. And here I am just missing. I don't know, dude. I haven't been on my game for a while. I've been having mild matches these past couple of weeks. And I don't know what it is. But yeah, type 4, that entire line from, what was it, the tier 6 and up, right? Is that what they said? I believe that's what they said. Tier 6 and up.
Did they?
Well, because you have the OI experimental at tier 6, right?
That's 5.
That's 5? Okay, so then tier 5 and up. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get this. Like, I think that the experimental could use a rework. Not 100% sure. Okay, and up next we have the Concept 1B and Stroff K. I think Slap's falling asleep on us, guys.
Sleep? What is sleep? Just being silent.
Just being silent? That's not helpful. It's like, I can go quiet for a minute. I feel like I've been non-stop talking.
Also, that Prochetta 65 game, I did 3,700 damage.
Nice.
I had the second highest damage in that game.
Nice indeed.
But yeah, the reason I told you to look at the Prochetta 65 reload was because the fourth shell was 19 seconds. And
yeah. Yeah, and if you clip out...
It's 21 seconds.
So really... And see, I don't think that's how the final shell should be. I think the final shell should be like loading in the second shell or even the third shell of the Progetto, like matching it. Because right now, its damage per minute is just non-existent. But, you know, don't get me wrong. Rushing that thing is very scary, you know. It's got 3 shells, and if those 3 shells pin, that's, you know, that's half your health plus some. depending on how it rolls.
Until RNG changes, then it rolls
If
for actually 490.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt with the RNG change. But at the same time, it has a lower penetration heat round. So coming with the next update, we're gonna be seeing it suffering with penetrations and probably see its damage standing go down. We're gonna see a lot of averages drop by what would you say, like 10%, 20%?
3.
3? I don't feel like it's gonna be no 3. I think with individual players for the
You
top.
know what? Maybe 10, because people just got used to the RNG changes.
Yeah, because a lot of people, you can go through, you could load heat rounds right now with a regular heavy tank with 340 pin and go through the front of a 705A. And coming next update, that should not be happening at all. Same thing about, let's say, like 375 APCR pin. That can go through the fronts of the 5A and QL right now. And the IS-7 and a lot of other tanks, like the E3, if you shoot the gun mantle right next to the gun, you can go through it right now. And beforehand, that penetration was less than, I think, like a 20% pin chance, even with premium rounds. You had to be head-to-head. And there's a couple. There's a couple out there that just, yeah. You got a fan on, or?
Can you hear it?
It was like a split second. You just readjusted. It wasn't long at all.
So
If that's what you're wondering.
side.
Yeah, I see that. No one went to the right side, but the base is really close though, so really.
Yeah,
And then
they're okay. This is actually a really good tank. I think all it needs is maybe
a little bit of a reload.
Yep.
And that's about it. Same thing about the Concept 1B, you know. It's not a 120. This is a 110 millimeter gun. And we're looking at a 9.9 second reload, which is slower than most tier 8s that have a 390 alpha. So really, but at the same time, you know, we got 440s with 11 seconds. I don't know. I think if Concept 1B, really the only thing I could see being readjusted on the Concept would probably be maybe a readjustment on the turret, but I'd wait for that. And maybe a half second on the reload. Nothing too crazy. Because a half second, you know, that's not overkilling it. That's not doing anything nuts. And then to be able to stop and say that's a Foch 155, that's a lot of heat pin that I need to avoid. Not say that though. But yeah, I think that the reload on this and maybe a little bit of a turret readjustment, but the turret readjustment can wait. Because didn't the Concept 1B drop during 6.0? Because I think it did.
yeah, yep.
So
Great tank.
the way that this gun works right now in 6.0 and the way that everything with this tank works in 6.0, I'm guessing that, you know, we'll be able to actually judge the armor once RNG is reverted.
Yeah.
So, like, right now, a lot of armor reworks. It's a little scary to see them reworking armor right now. Just because, you know, there's a lot of reworks coming up that, depending on how those reworks are put together, could make or break a tank right now. And that's just uncomfortable to see. So, yeah, just depending. I got 4 hit points left. If this M103 is smart, he's gonna HE me. And still, he's not HE me. He's firing standards. And even though I aimed at the lower plate, that shell hit the top plate. I guess I should have waited like a few more seconds before I fired. And rather than loading an HE round, he's trying to get in closer to get a better angle on me, which is going to cost him all of his hit points, all of his remaining hit points. And more than likely, I'm going to get rushed by the Foch 155 right here. I don't know, Stravk though, I think, because right now, one of the things that it's suffering from is turret penetration. You know, there's a lot of shells going straight through its turret. And coming with the reverted changes, we're going to see a lot of difference in penetrations. And you're not going to see as many gun mantle pins. At least fingers crossed we won't be seeing as many gun mantle pins. Because right now there's a lot of gun mantle pins with just pure heat rounds that people load. Because if you're not loading heat, you're not penetrating. You know, is what a lot of people are pretty much acting like. Which in reality, you know, you should not rely on heat rounds to get the damage out.
The gun mantlet of the Serv Cave was actually a glitch for a while.
Did they fix it?
Yeah, it's been fixed for a while.
See, because it's been a minute since I've played that tank, so I didn't know if they fixed it or not.
Yeah, you should play it.
I'm sorry.
Third armor actually holds up.
I readjusted a tad bit to get a better angle on this guy, and he shot me in the tracks again, which was just hilarious. And right there, so module damage right now makes no sense. So a direct shot to the tracks should be breaking them. And same thing about light tanks. So I think one thing that should be looked at right now is, I believe console has a safety net. And what I mean by a safety net is light tanks. You can hit their tracks like 3 times before they finally break. While if you're on PC and you get your tracks hit, you are tracked. If that module damage is high enough, you are done for. You're not moving, you're stuck. But here on console, you know, you can hit a light tank's tracks like 4 or 5 times in a row before they finally give out. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Yep.
Oh. 2200 at least. I mean, you did your hit points, and then you got me. I got a lot of assist. I got a lot of assist.
A lot better. But it kept lagging.
Kept lagging?
Yep. A lot.
Alrighty, so next up on this list, so the T-30 is there. I'm actually probably going to be buying back the T-30 coming up pretty soon, because that would be a really good tank to rock out in, honestly. So, IS-7's on this list. I'm actually wondering what they're going to be doing to that. The Krievets on the list, depending on what they do to the Krievets and the Scourge, in my opinion, the only thing that they can do to the Krievets and the Scourge to, you know, potentially give it a buff would be, I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm kind of stuck looking at that tank just because that's one of my go-to tier 8s. And what I mean by go-to tier 8, that's one of the tanks I play specifically just because it's so powerful. And then the KV-5 and the KV-5 Gorunch, I'm actually wondering what they're going to be doing to those. But up next, we have, what is it, the E5 and the Object 260, right? I think it's E5 and 260.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
I was muted for a second.
Oh no, you're good. I'm just wondering what their plans are with the E5. A reload buff to help match the Super Conch would make sense. You know, get the reload down to the Super Conch's reload by maybe half a second short. You know, fall short just a little bit, but not too much. And then the Object 260, one of the biggest buffs that I can see them doing to that tank is giving the 260 potentially the same armor buff that they gave the IS-4, for instance. So the entire top armor, this tank suffers from overmatching. It's only 30 millimeters across that entire top armor there on the 260. And that can be overmatched by 90 millimeters and higher, which this is a tier 10 tank. How many tier 8s shoot a 90 millimeter? You know, it's like there's not a lot. But then at the same time, how many tier 9s are shooting a 90 millimeter? Almost none. And right now, +1, -1, Object 260s are basically pinnable by anything right now. Because I think the lowest gun on average that you'll see in Tier 9 is, what, a 105? A 100?
100.
Yeah, 100 millimeters, and that's the lowest you'll see. Other than light tanks. Other than light tanks. Yeah, other than light tanks. Light tanks like the T-54 lightweight, isn't that a 90 mil? Or is that also a 100?
It's 100.
It's 100? Okay,
100.
but it's got a stock 90 though. So there is that. There's a couple tanks on that list, dude, that I'm looking to buy back. The T-54 lightweight and the T-30. Because I'm looking to work with those tanks and see how those can be readjusted a little bit.
So I must warn you, I have my 260 built for speed.
I believe
and
it.
ramp.
I believe it, dude. 260 is honestly one of those tanks that's really good with ramming. And then we have the E5 here that really this is supposed to be in the same category as the IS-4 for brawling capability. Which, I don't know, I think with the armor on the E5, wait for the RNG changes before you consider to rework the armor. Other than that, the E5 could benefit from a 0.4 increase to its reload, or maybe even a 0.5 increase to its reload to try and just help it match the Super Conk. But at the same time, you have a 400 alpha, so I think the 7.3 second reload that we have right now is actually pretty nice. So really, the only thing I could see this tank benefiting from for, I guess, an update would be, it's already got really good traverse speeds. Reload for a full second? I don't, well, yes, I could see it benefiting. I could see it benefiting from that, but the way I look at it, it would be better off if we decrease the Super Conk by half a second. That way we're not overkilling all these tanks instead. You know, like, because you buff one, you give it a bit of reload, somewhere else, something else, somewhere else is gonna start falling behind. I don't even know what the Tier 9 Conqueror reload is, if that reload is below 7 seconds or not. But, you know, there's just a real limit. I think that what the E5 could really benefit from would be a kind of a hatch buff. Make the hatch just a tad bit thicker. Not so thick that, you know, standard rounds are going to bounce off it, but make it thick enough that, you know, it's like Tier 9s won't consistently go through it, that it's more like a 40% chance to be able to pin it. That way it's not consistently every single shot's going to be going through. Make it to where it's more like a 40% roll. And I would be okay versing that. I would. Because I would load the standards and you'd have to try and land it just right rather than just aim and shoot right now. Because with all the accuracy buffs that have been applied to the game, you know, you can damn near lob a 183 pinpoint accuracy across the map right now. Or at least you used to. You used to be able to do that. But not as much anymore. It's not as bad as the way it was when the game first came out with 6.0. But with everything else that's been applied, it's slowly been getting worse. And like right now, lobbing a heat round, okay, I'm a little bit happy that didn't go through. Because if that would have went through, that's a lot of armor that I would have just ripped through the 257. But there is something right there. Just gonna take some blind shots. And multi-base assault. What's your take on multi-base assault in public queues?
Love it.
You love it?
Yes.
Alright, I'm actually gonna ask you, why do you love it? What brings you to like it?
It's a different game mode. Different game modes. More variety.
Okay, for me?
Also, people actually defend. You're supposed to... Now people actually defend in multi-base assault instead of attacking
yeah. My problem was, whenever they first released it, was it in my mindset, I have a very specific mindset whenever I think about multi-base assault. Comp pops up in my mind. like competition matches is the only thing going through my head whenever I see these maps pop up. I don't think about public matchmaking. I think about competitive gaming. You know, I don't think about public whenever I see these maps. So whenever I see these in public queues, I kind of guess that I have a mindset towards it. But don't get me wrong, like, it's nice to see that there is a variety right now that's being used, and that's nice that there's a variety coming out and that it's helping the player base kind of learn a little bit more on what to do, how to handle a lot of situations. And someone just shut a door upstairs. My headphones just like pressure through my ears that just popped. But yeah, it's whenever you're looking at multi-base assault, whenever it first came out, I was a little bit upset. But as time has come out, you know, you finally see people actually defending. You see a decent spread coming across. So you see we have a heavy tank over here at A, down at H8. He's holding off, and now I'm able to come up and assist Andre, which really I'm not going to be able to assist
So they have,
too much.
like, made it so it shows up a lot less.
Multi-base assault shows up a lot less. I have noticed that. And beforehand, it was popping up almost like every 2 matches or so, like every single 3 or so matches. But I'm just a little bit worried depending on how the map rotation is, because they said that they're going to be removing the actual rotation, the 4-minute rotation, because of people who are abusing it.
It's already been removed.
It's already been removed?
Yeah, it was removed like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh. Well, then here I am, you know, stuck with old information, feeling like a Muppet. You know, don't judge me.
I mean,
I stopped playing for like 2 weeks. I was playing a lot of games, actually. There was a couple of games that I was just rocking out on. For instance, trying to remember, Sea of Thieves. Honestly, won't lie, I've been enjoying some Sea of Thieves. And there's a new game that was released that's kind of a bird's view shooter. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But there was a couple glitches that was going on with it. It was kind of messing up a little bit. And here I am just... You know what? I'm playing like a Muppet right now. I'm playing like an absolute Muppet. I mean, I can't say that. I'm up to 3,000 damage and 2k assisted, but my aiming right now could do with a do-over. Just because it's... off. You know, just a little bit off. So yeah, with map rotation being gone then, that surprised me. It means that they actually have a better system because I'm not seeing the same map back to back. But at the same time, I kind of feel like I'm still seeing multiple people end up on the main map through Twitch.
It's not predictable anymore.
Yeah, you know, like I'm sitting there, I think Mountain Pass is up next. Load in, Prokhorovka.
Yeah, it's not predictable anymore because it's randomized. But it's still new map every 4 minutes, though.
So, it's a randomized system, but it's a 4-minute rotation rather than just random map every single match. See,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. So there's a chance that the randomizer could give you back-to-back Sand River then. So Sand River's up for 8 minutes. See, I like that. I do like that. That's actually a good way to set that up. So that means people can still abuse it though.
Well, yeah.
But they can only abuse it within the 4-minute window that they are given.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, you'd have to watch Twitch. Or watch someone play live in order to know what's coming up next. And even then, you know, if they all queue at the same time, then you're not benefiting from anything.
Also, you gotta figure out when the 4 minutes started, when did it end.
Well, usually it's an even number. So right now it's 11:28 my time. So, yeah. All right, up next, what do you want to do? We have the version 4 and version 5. We also have
You have a version 4?
I do have a version 4 that I can play. I do.
I have a version 5.
Okay, we can pull those two out. Version 4, one thing that I could see the version 4 benefiting from would actually be a speed boost.
Is there a 263? There is.
There was a 263 on this list as well.
I have a 263.
I also have a 263, but
You want to do double 263s and you do version 4, I do version 5?
so double version 3s and then 5s. Well, okay, so double. Okay, hold on. Okay, my processing capability went out the window like 2 seconds ago. Like it was all there, then it's gone. Okay, so double 263 and then 68 and version 5.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not trying to like slap out this brain fart, because it's a brain fart right now. It's a massive brain fart. Okay.
Yeah, it's take since before 6.0.
Sorry, what?
I have not played this tank before 6.0.
So what's your averages before 6.0 then?
In the tank?
Yeah.
I played the tank like 3 times.
Okay, never mind. I don't want to know what your averages are then. Well, we'll skip that.
Because I don't like it.
Yeah. Alrighty, whenever you're ready though. Double 263.
I asked Twitch. It's like, hey Twitch, which one should I get? The version 4, the 263, or the version 4?
And they all said
like,
263.
Yes. And I wanted the version 4. I was like, you know what? I asked chat. I'm going with chat. And
I asked chat to go to chat.
I'm like, I don't like this thing.
It's really specific. It's got a really good fire rate. It's got really good alpha with 550. You know, but with update 6.0, this tank kind of fell off its pedestal that it was on. Because its average, you know, you were hitting for like 400. 400.
Yep.
Occasionally seeing like a 520. You know, but it fell. And it fell hard.
The last time I played 263 was November 22nd of 2020.
I actually
played 26
wonder
battles.
if I had equipment on this whenever I loaded it up. I didn't even look. I'm pretty sure I did.
It is my lowest average damage of my tier 10 tank destroyers at 2,000.
263?
Yep. Next would be the Foch.
The Foch, the tier 9? Or 155. Oh, how?
That's my second lowest.
Dude, the Foch 155 makes people cry.
Because I just love doing the 155 on there and just high explosive.
Okay, that's understandable. I understand now how that's low. But, you know, if you ever pin those, oh boy. That is gross. That is very gross. By the way, I'm gonna go take on this bat chat, and more than likely,
I hit him in the loop.
I hit him for 523. I am getting absolutely shredded right now.
I got shot once.
I'm dead.
I missed.
I'm dead. Ah.
Yep.
Ah. Dude, that's kind of crazy. They got there really fast. And these tanks, they're not slow, you know, they got there quick. Oh, and now the bat jet's gonna be aiming at you. So, alright, talking about what could be readjusted on the 263. Do you have any inputs on that? Because me, I have none. I actually don't feel like this tank would need a readjustment.
Higher alpha. Higher alpha.
You don't know?
I said higher alpha.
Oh, higher. Why a higher alpha? What's your reload right now?
8 seconds.
8 seconds for a 550 alpha. You feel like you need a higher alpha.
I need higher.
What do you feel like the alpha should be then?
Make it 600.
But then you'd want to increase the reload to like 9 seconds. 9 seconds, 10 seconds. I don't know. Like, if they leave the alpha at the 550 that it's at now, and they drop the reload down, you said 9 seconds?
Or
what was yours?
Activated is 8.2.
Oh, yours is 8.2 right now?
Yeah, with rations activated.
Okay, with rations. Without rations, what are we seeing? And I mean, you know, like, judging this tank right now, like, after the RNG changes, and you start averaging that 550, like, you just had a 527 right there. I honestly don't feel like this tank needs much of a readjustment. If anything, 250 armor that this thing has, I would rather jump that up to, like, 270.
Yeah.
Maybe...
bring up your big map, then take it away.
Bring up my big map. Okay, what are we looking at here?
Then take it away.
Take it away.
Drop it.
To see your equipment?
Yeah, you can see
No, I knew about that, yeah, because you have your consumable, it's on a 35-second recharge, you have a standard med kit and a premium repair kit.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know, I use nothing but premium. I've had so many moments that I've had my driver knocked out 4 or 5 times in a match.
I just don't get crew knocked out.
I get crew deleted all the time. I mean, look at the armor right now. I actually don't even think you need to increase the armor. What was that?
120.
He only has the 120.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's bouncing off the top plate though. I mean, as long as that's the only plate you're exposing, this tank is very hard to take down. I actually cocked my head a little bit saying that. I was looking at it from sideways, like a sideways view. You're kind of on the hill, and here I am, like, readjusting my head to flatten it out. The ice, dude. The ice is so uncomfortable because I think after 5 minutes in the game, it starts to break down.
Does it?
Yes.
Oh, why is this here? Ah.
Or once you get too much weight on the ice, it breaks as well.
I miss my swimming lessons.
For the extra 5 seconds?
Yes.
Okay, by the way, I do not have a crew for my version 4 now. But I can transfer a crew real fast, which I don't mind transferring a crew. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at my commanders. More than likely, this would be the one I would go for, because we have off-road driving and clutch braking. And controlled impact. If anything, this would actually be the best crew to transfer over. And now that I think about it, I do believe this crew was made originally for my version 4, but I transferred it over to a tank that I played a lot more than the version 4.
Okay, so my average damage for TDs, greatest to lowest for tier 10.
Yeah.
E4, number 1, is 3,000. Off Intrigue 100. Drill 15. E3, 4,005. Object 268 version 5. The WZ111 13 GFT. The MX50 Posh 155 and the Object 263 at 2,000.
For average damage?
Yep.
You had a tier 8 premium on there.
No, I didn't.
No, you said the tier 10 Chinese, never mind. Yeah, the GFT. Yeah.
I like that thing.
Dude, I would actually really like to get it. I know that the tier 9 apparently performs 1,000 times better than the tier 10 though. Armor-wise.
I don't know. I've been playing. Even in 6.0, the armor's been holding up.
The tier 10 or the tier 9?
Tier 10. I've played
tier 10?
9 forever. Yeah.
I don't know, dude. That tier 9, you end up against 7s, and you have all that penetration. And you just give tier 7s a bad day. I have played the tier 9. My buddy Toto, yeah, I have played his account. And he has a lot of tanks that I don't. So every once in a while, I get to try out tanks that I normally don't play. Coffee Cub the other day allowed me to get some matches into the TVP 5051 because I'm looking to grind it out myself. And to be honest, I wasn't really in the mood to play, but trying the tank out and seeing how it worked, honestly, I would be excited to get my hands on it. Okay, so version 4, yeah. The buffs I think the version 4 could benefit the most from. Traverse speed increase, top speed increase, increase to power to weight, and kind of just a rework entirely on its mobility. Give this thing a like 45 top speed. 268 version 5, give it a little bit more worse gun handling, a little bit worse aim time, increase to reload by 1.5 seconds, and in my opinion, that's what the 268 version 5 deserves. But since they've given it away to a ton of tier 5 players, and a ton of low tier players that now are going to play in tier 10, its 5,000 match result that's going to come up is going to say that it needs a buff. So more than likely, they're going to be buffing a tank that clearly does not need a buff, but they've given it away 1,000 times. Or what they can do, in my opinion, to kind of give that thing a better outlook, is to not touch it at all and leave it alone. Leave it in the state that it's in right now and don't even touch it. And that's how that tank's gonna be because of how many times they've given it away, how many versions they've passed out and handed out. Alrighty, what's going on, Slap?
I just watched that light tank kill itself.
Oh, well, I'm talking about Rosarante. What do you want to?
Alright.
What do you want to do with Rosarante? You want to back off and then let him get further in the city?
He already fired 2 shots.
Okay, so I guess I could risk it for the biscuit and see if I can get in his face, I guess. Because it looks like he's coming up. He just took a couple slaps. Ha ha ha, the pun's intended. But,
I died.
ouch, Rosarante. Okay, was that his... There's no way this is his 3rd and final shell. I think he let one reload.
No, it was his 3rd final shell.
Oh, I just took 1,000 damage from the left. 1,200. See, to me, that's not fun. And, dude, these whole Cold War maps, I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says. The fact that I'm getting shot from across the way, and, you know, we can't spot them out unless we have a light tank go down or we have someone risk their hit points to be able to spot them out, is wrong. These maps are too big for World War II.
This one, don't go middle. Don't go where you're at.
No, I know.
But not on this map.
But the thing is, if you don't go middle, then you lose the only area that has got full map control. Okay, I'm actually wondering... Yeah, I'm just going to load the heat rounds for this mouse, just because I'm such a great guy. And then we have a Rosarante up behind us, and a Yag Tiger.
That makes sense. The person driving that Yag Tiger makes sense. Well, he came after me. I know the person that's driving the Yag Tiger.
Oh, and he just came straight after you. He's all like, "You're gonna die."
Yes.
Game over. Okay, but yeah. Version 4? Yeah, I think mobility is what this tank needs. A rework on this tank's mobility would bring this tank heavily into the meta. Alright, Yag Tiger is actually really scary to go up against, because more than likely, he is going to load before okay. There we go. But there's a lot of weight behind the 268 version 4. You know, this thing is a heavy boy. Alright, that's uncomfortable. Yaguru can one-shot me, so I kind of don't want to sit out in the open like that. 8-5. Ooh, another thing is, this tank is really tiny. And if I really wanted to, since I have such a low profile, I can drive across here without getting spotted. As long as I don't break the walls. If I break the walls, I'm gonna get spotted.
You break all.
I broke a wall because I felt comfortable breaking the wall, Slap. Don't judge me. And I also saw that we had the 183 and the 4005 on that readjustment list. What do you think is going on with those two tanks? You think that we might be seeing 1850 Alpha come back, or
1750?
Well, yeah, 1750 Alpha. Was it 1750 originally?
Yeah, 1750. A lot of people's been wanting it.
I believe it. They took it away. Like I actually played my Death Star quite a bit back in the day, and I never really understood the appeal to the tank, because its reload was so long, and the chances that your Hesh rounds would actually pin were, you know, they weren't that high. You know, you would hit someone and you'd be like, oh, that freaking hurt, you know? But then they were all like, oh, this sounds like a great idea. Let's debuff the alpha and decrease the penetration along with decreasing the alpha. So really, they seriously took the tank and slapped it. They, like, you want to talk about a nerf hammer? That was a nerf hammer beyond nerf hammer. I just used a heat round to kill an artillery. I feel bad, but yeah. I don't know. They have a nerf hammer and they're not afraid to use it. They will slap something that doesn't even need a nerf. They will literally nerf something to oblivion. Speaking of which, what tanks have been nerfed to oblivion in the past? And that they readjusted back up. I think the 777 would be one of those right now that it's been nerfed to oblivion.
TVP was.
TVP? Oh yeah, they destroyed that reload for the longest time.
Oh, it's the original. If you put the rapid loading on it, it's like having the original TVP again.
Yeah.
But it's 21-second reload.
I think I just got the tier 7 big top. Alrighty, so this list, these are just a lot of the tanks that they're going to be updating or going over, and from my knowledge, from what I know, this is all supposed to be dropped at the same time.
Yep.
So all these tanks are going to be
come out tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Or tomorrow night?
Probably tomorrow.
But tomorrow's Monday.
Yes, they usually release.
Oh yeah, they'll release the information for it coming Monday. Yeah. It'll
be either tomorrow or after the update, or right before the update. One of the two, because they release information 2 times. They'll probably do it tomorrow.
They'll do a stream, and then they'll drop all the information for the tanks after that and everything else. Well, is there anything else that you would like to cover, or would you say that we kind of hit a lot? Or if anyone in chat wants to know about something while we're here and able to answer questions.
You can actually see chat now.
I can actually see chat now, yes. I can actually see chat, so. And depending on how, you know, this goes and everything else, there's a chance that me and Slap-a-Fish will probably team up once a month for a stream or a video going over balance changes and other things. And one of the biggest reasons why I like Slap here is because of 4 cannon arties. No, Yuki, your question, I'm just avoiding that. But Slap-a-Fish has got a different view on the game than myself, and it's always good to have 2 different views kind of colliding. You know, I would like to try and get some extra people in on these, but not too many, like maybe 3 tops, just because having multiple views rather than a one-sided view and, you know, an agenda, I guess you could say. It's nice to have multiple sides. That way you can stop, take a look at it from different points, and know that the only thing that we have in mind is the embetterment of the game. Would you say, Slap?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, sure, I want to nerf artillery to oblivion, but Slap here, he doesn't want to nerf it so much that it's unplayable. So, you know, like, we'll have our arguments there, but that's about it. Plus, somehow Slap here has gotten me to play artillery, so I can't say much.
I mentioned to play artillery for the first time also.
Yeah, he got me to play for a couple of matches, and not gonna lie, I was crying because it was hilarious what we were doing. It was a equalizer barrage?
Yep.
Yeah, that's absolutely disgusting. But the thing is, if we hit someone, it was like 100 damage, so I didn't feel too bad. And it was just, you looked over and you're just like, holy crap! One guy getting lit up every single, 7 seconds? We had it like down to the point where we were all firing at different times.
Yeah.
Oh, just disgusting. Okay.
Also, I actually have more playing experience than you.
You have more what?
Playing experience. Battle lifetime. So there's one star, so if you go all the way down to the bottom of the page, it tells you how long you've been playing the game. Like how long you were in battle for.
At the very bottom?
Yours is 78 days, 4 hours, and 53 minutes. Mine is 117 days, 5 hours, and 59 minutes.
Okay, there's actually something I gotta check.
How many battles have you played in?
Because you gotta remember, okay, Watch Stars is very, very off, to be honest. We got Gambit up here of like 493. Brute, shout out for Brute. This guy is a champion. And then me at 144. So I think, okay, total time played, battle lifetime on Watch Stars. That actually could be representing time in game. I think that it could mean that, but other than that, I would say more than likely that this, depending on the feedback from you guys and depending on the feedback from Slap's community, this could be an every 2-week thing or a once a month thing that we do. And depending if you guys want it streamed or if you want a video version of this, and if we do a video version, it'll be actually a lot faster and a little bit more cut down and focused down the very specific subjects that we can try and hit and take out quickly rather than going over multiple things all in, in the course of, how long was this? 1 hour and 20 minutes? So if we were to try and like crunch this down, I think we'd be able to crunch it down to like 28 minutes, 28-minute video. But that would be a lot of information to cover really fast. So I guess the live stream's nice. Now, depending on, I guess, what goes on and everything else, next week I am extremely excited about the RNG changes.
Yep.
Also, I'm still patiently waiting for that 703 to end up in my garage. So I'm definitely waiting on that one. And last but not least, I did put in, and I'm asking to try and become a CC. So, you know, your guys' feedback on that would be nice if you want me to become a CC or not. I'd say I'd leave that up to my community more than myself. Because honestly, I'm at the point where I don't really care if I'm a CC or not. Because it's not like it's going to change anything. I mean, if I become a CC, I'll end up on the super test, and believe me, I will try my freaking best to make sure tanks come into the game not needing a buff like 6 months down the road. Alrighty, Slap, how would you like to end it? Would you like to just cut it off here, or what?
Sure.
Yeah? Well,
It's fine.
Yeah, you know, guys, thanks for tuning in. I know it's been a minute since I've been, you know, posting content. Well, not really content, but streaming on YouTube. It's been a fat minute since I've streamed on YouTube, so this is actually a pretty good experience. Oh, T-Bear, I watch both again. I believe it, dude. I believe it. So, yeah, till next time, I guess. And, we'll try and make this a regular thing for monthly starting off, and depending on how Slap feels and I feel, we can probably hit this, who knows, maybe weekly. I think weekly would be too much, to be honest. That'd be way too much. And then every single 2 weeks, I mean, they're talking about rebalancing tanks every single 2 weeks, so that could be a good lineup for a 2-week point. Just do like a 30-minute video collab talking about the updates that are coming out for certain tanks. Because they're supposed to be readjusting tanks every single 2 weeks now. So, yeah, that's going to be... They were originally doing that, and then they just stopped. They completely ghosted it, and now apparently they're back on it, so...
Yeah, that was in Valorant because the articles took too much time.
The articles took too much time? Don't even do an article. Just stop and be like, guess what?
No,
this is what we did. Bye.
in Valor.
In Valor?
Yeah, remember in Valor? Where they used... It was, let's talk about tanks.
Oh, yeah,
and
it was literally like this entire dedicated web page. Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of work per week, because they had to make a whole new web page every single 2 weeks, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's based on that.
Okay, that does make sense. That you'd have to dedicate, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 people to make that web page every single week. Because that's a lot of graphical editing as well, so...
Yeah. Now it's just short and simple.
Yeah, short and simple is the way it should be. That way the team can focus on other tasks, like stop and be like, let's just let the content creators handle this. They'll pop up with the images and everything else that, you know, what the buffs are and blah, blah, blah. Last but not least, the VK16801P coming on Tuesday, keep in mind, is going to be the ultimate Sil Clubber tank in the game. If you guys don't own it, go get your hands on it. It's going to absolutely break tier 6 whenever it goes up against it. Other than that, more than likely coming Tuesday I might do another stream and try and get a ton of people into a private match to essentially test spa liners and heat penetration. So if you guys want to participate in that, let me know over on Discord. Other than that, it was nice having you here. Slap the fish. It was a pleasure, like always. But till next time, yeah, I'd say this could work out really well. So yeah, till next time, you guys have a good one.